Welcome to the Underdog NFL Best Ball Stream. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS, and I am here with the reigning Best Ball Mania champion, $2 million winner, probably, I'm pretty sure the most profitable best ball player in the history of the universe. Pat Kerrane is here with me. Pat, when I teased this a little bit earlier, I said I think you've only been on 3 YouTube shows since you won Best Ball Mania. That was, of course, joke. I think that you've been on 3 YouTube shows today. This is also your second YouTube show with me since you won.
It is my third YouTube show today.
It is your third YouTube show today. Yeah, you're kind of a madman. You're all over YouTube lately. What's your average per day? I know you just got back from vacation, so we can not count that in the average. But when you are home,
well, I do 2 Wednesday, and I do. It's probably like 1 a day. Probably one a day. Yeah.
Including weekends or no?
Not including weekends.
Okay, so 1 a day. That's pretty reasonable. As you can see, first of all, guys, while you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. I'm going to say the same thing about 2 other YouTube channels as we go. I'll pull those up on screen. But also, Pat here has since he won Best Ball Mania, started a new site, Legendary Upside, and it looks like a great site. Let me pull that up on screen so you guys can see what we're talking about here. I'll let Pat talk about it a little bit because you've got a lot going on here on the Legendary Upside site. Pat, do you want to give a little shout out to your site? Tell us what's going on here.
Sure, yeah. So I'm doing kind of like a premium newsletter, but with best ball rankings, dynasty rankings. I've got a bunch of kind of best ball type analysis, but also player focused analysis. Doing a 3-part, or it's actually 4-part series. The 3rd part just came out this morning on running back success rate, stars and scrubs, guys who did quite well in NFL Next Gen's success rate metric. Got some strategy based kind of evergreen best ball type articles. Got some dynasty rankings. Did a bunch of player profiles on the rookies. Right there was an announcement that we have $50 Underdog credits if you sign up.
Okay.
For the site. I do have some of those left, actually. And the move right now, through Tuesday, July 18th, I'm offering an early bird discount, which is at the top of the screen there.
Yep.
If you sign up, you can get $30 off your first year. Takes it down to $69 for your first year. That also makes you eligible to fill out the form on the thing right next to it, perks/Discord there, has a form. You fill that out, give me your Underdog username, and you get a $50 Underdog credit deposited in your account. So it's a pretty awesome time to sign up. The $30 discount deal expires after next Tuesday, and I have a limited amount of the Underdog credits. I think they'll probably go around the same time. So
okay,
it's kind of like, this is the week. This is the week to sign up. I'm working on my legendary running backs article, which is how the site got its name, looking at those running backs in the early rounds that are going to be those true league winners, and working through, going to be doing the walkthrough, which is my in-season preview column as well. So yeah, lots and lots of good stuff if you want to check out my work there.
And then, of course, best ball rankings, which I always find to be like the most important thing I'm looking for when I'm looking for best ball content is I want to see your rankings, and I really enjoy your setup here. I saw you on a stream earlier talking about how you used to give an explanation for how to use the rankings at the top. Now it is below the rankings themselves, so you do have to scroll down. However, you can download the CSV and upload his rankings directly onto Underdog or
and
other sites.
DraftKings.
Yep.
Which
Yep.
I think is even better than Underdog for the rankings personally, because like the
For the rankings.
DraftKings ADP is so much softer that I don't
Right.
care about it as much. So
And if you go to the bottom of the page, you can see Pat's explanation of
find it
how
there.
to use these rankings, which I think is really useful because you kind of want to know, like, are these just raw projections? Are they kind of median projections? You taking in upside and downside risk, all those kinds of things. So I think it's really useful to see an explanation for how to use the rankings. By the way, guys, if you have not yet signed up at Underdog, you can, of course, we have a deal going on. You can get your first deposit matched up to $100. And we also have, you can get our best ball rankings from the Stochastic website, which I did not pull up here, but you can get our rankings and our whole best ball package, which is $40 value, along with the deposit match bonus if you use the link that I have pinned in chat. Pat, you were telling me that you also have, you're going to be doing a stream coming up on next Tuesday, which is the 1 year anniversary of when you drafted your $2 million team. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. So I drafted the team on July 18th. So for 7/18, I'm going to be doing 7 drafts with 18 guests. It's starting at 10 a.m., live streaming it, going through 5 p.m. I'm going to be, drafting, streaming all day on Tuesday. And I'm excited that one of those streams I'll be joined by King Cap.
Yep. Okay. Regular season champ.
Regular season product. Yeah. He also drafted his winning team on 7/18.
Is that? I did not realize that. That is insane.
It's crazy.
And Liam did as well, if I'm remembering correctly.
Liam was in June, I believe. I think
it
was
was
late June.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought
but Liam will be joining me as well for the stream, and Justin Herzig, who won Best Ball Mania 1, will also be. That crew will be drafting together, so it'll be the 3 of us, or 4 of us.
Funny.
Those 3 guys and me. Yeah.
Everybody who's ever won, I guess, Best Ball. Yeah, everybody who's ever won first place in a Best Ball Mania contest, right?
On Underdog, yeah.
In
the Best Ball Mania Yeah. We'll all be together drafting. So that'll be the second draft of the 7. I'm gonna be tweeting that out soon. It'll be a very fun marathon stream.
Yeah, absolutely. So check out the Legendary Upside YouTube channel if you haven't already. Also, sign up for the Stochastic Fantasy Football channel. We're putting this one out on the DFS channel because there's no DFS going on right now, but a lot of our content is going out on the Stochastic Fantasy Football channel. You can see it's at Stochastic FF. Sign up here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Subscribe to the Stochastic Fantasy Football channel. Subscribe to the Legendary Upside channel. We are going to jump in and do an Underdog draft here. We're just going to do one Best Ball Mania draft. Actually, Pat, before we get started, I got to ask.
7?
Have you what was that? We're not doing 7. Yeah, I think Pat and I will just stick to one. I have softball later, so gotta save my arm strength. Pat, have you gotten into these weekly winners contests at all?
I haven't yet. I was traveling last week, and I was listening to a little bit. John Warner did a stream over on the Badge Bros. I was checking his stream out and kind of interested in his thoughts and some of the discussion around it. This is a very interesting format, but I was like, man, I want to be at the computer for this. This is not.
Oh yeah.
I normally draft on my phone, but I don't. So I haven't dove in yet, but
okay.
Definitely, I plan to dabble for sure.
I saw some speculation that maybe $20,000 isn't worth your time. $20,000 each week isn't worth your time when you've just won $2 million this past year. But
it's still $20,000.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I think it's really cool. I've actually been doing a ton, and if you do check out our Stochastic Fantasy Football channel, I did put out a video there explaining my strategy for it as well. So check that out if you haven't already. But we're gonna do a Best Ball Mania draft here, and I'll jump in now so we can get started. We got a few comments here. First of all, hello, Michael. Hello, Jewish McCaffrey. Jewish says, Pat thinking we won't notice he made his package cost exactly $69 after the discount. Yeah, everybody noticed that, Pat, that you gave us a $30 discount. And then Jewish McCaffrey asks, question for Pat, if you're taking any, how does he feel about the EV of putting out content like his personal rankings versus growing his channel / brand?
Well, that's interesting. I mean, you could argue that it's negative EV to tell everyone what you're doing all the time.
Yep.
But I don't know. For me, it's like I'm also in conversation with other really smart people, that are trying to help me, think. Well, just talking to them helps me think through this stuff more.
Right.
So, to me, getting the opportunity to kind of have those conversations is part of being open and honest about what you're doing. So I don't know. I think overall, probably like I think I'm a better best ball player because I do this, and so part of doing it is, potentially, especially if you're in agreement with other people in the industry, you might potentially ruin the ADP of several players that you like. I think, and those aren't always good players to take. Like ship chasing, we steamed up Sky Moore last year, and that was a disaster. So it's not always good, especially when I continued taking Sky Moore. So that was probably pretty negative EV. Yeah. But I think the overall endeavor of becoming better at best ball, I think I've gotten a lot better at best ball through doing best ball content.
Right.
And so I would say, I think it's overall been extremely plus EV for me to kind of continue thinking through this and that part of the exercise.
Yeah, and I think that it's a balance that like we all struggle with. Anybody who does content, like we're all dealing with all right, I want to give the best advice I can. So I'm not really holding things back when I'm doing content. And then I'm like, it probably does hurt me. And it's kind of the same for all of us. I feel like for best ball, it's actually not as bad as like DFS. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Well, I know what you're saying, because DFS, it's like everyone's kind of, well, in DFS, it really matters more like who you're going to play on the slate, and those ownership percentages really factor in a way where like, you can get some leverage in a best ball tournament by drafting an 18th round guy that other people aren't drafting. But for the most part, we're all working with the same player pool.
Right.
So I think it probably hurts you less in best ball. The other thing is that I am not good at analysis that in stuff that I'm not doing myself. Like all of my analysis is basically just coming from like my own play. Right. So there's like no version of like legendary upside where I like am cagey about what I'm doing.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's all informed by my own like drafts. So I need to like actually talk about what I'm doing in order to provide good analysis, I think.
Yep. I think that's a fair analysis. So we got the turn. We got the 112 pick here. We have Felix gets the pick before us. I think I have yet to do a live draft on a stream without Felix being in the draft with us. So Felix, really? He's a madman. We also, I was telling Pat after Pat told me that he's doing a 7-hour stream. I was like, that's really impressive. Felix did a 25-hour best ball stream.
That's wild,
last
man.
week, which really just, I don't know. Nobody can compete with that. What is wrong with you, Felix, doing 25 hours best ball? But good.
I wanted to do. Luckily, these things are drafted in July. I didn't have to do. If it was December, right? Then the 12-hour stream, can't be doing that.
Yeah, that's right.
But 25. I mean, my God.
Yeah, that's madman behavior by Felix. I will say, so we are using Pat's rankings here. So I put those right in here. So we are. I uploaded them from what's called Legendary Upside. I uploaded your rankings. So we're going to be able to talk about as we go. How your rankings look relative to ADP. So far, it looks like you're early on, largely in line with the field. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I don't have any major stances, I think. I think generally the ADP is pretty solid in the first rounds. I tend to take, Cooper at third, which is a slight variation off the norm.
We are on the clock. We've got Devontae Adams is your top rank, followed by CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra, Chris Olave, and then a bunch of running backs. Where would you like to go first here?
I would take the guys at the top of the
Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I get Waddle would be in discussion for me too if you like him.
Do you like Waddle in part because you can get Lamar Jackson on the next turn and do a stack?
Yeah, but I like him. Too. I like him more, in this spot here. If this guy takes him here, because you're just more likely to get Lamar or Andrews. True. And the dream is that you get like Andrews 310, Lamar comes around the wrap, and you get that stack, which I've done. It's possible to do. It's hard.
It's gotten so hard. Like I feel like a couple months ago, I was able to do that a couple times at least. Like it's never been easy, but lately I every time I try, and I much prefer Lamar Jackson at ADP to Mark Andrews, but Mark Andrews goes first. So I'm always taking Mark Andrews with the hope that I'll get Lamar Jackson on the comeback, and it just never happens, which is kind of sad. But I mean, Mark Andrews probably fine at ADP anyway, but I like betting on the Ravens a little bit there.
Yeah, I like the Ravens a lot. I think they could be. I mean, we've wanted them to change their offensive coordinator for a while, and they finally have. So.
Right. Yeah, and it just seems, we got a little gap in ADP. I mean, we got Josh Allen, he's down to 28th now, but a little bit of gap. I guess the gap has closed pretty significantly, I think, from when Best Ball Mania opened. I think Josh Allen was going a little bit earlier, and Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields were kind of like neck and neck. I want to say around pick 40. I could be misremembering a little bit, but it is closed a bit from the top three to Lamar. Not a huge gap in terms of ADP anymore, but still a little bit of a gap there. And I think Lamar Jackson, like, clearly could be the QB1 this year. Like, it's more likely that it's going to be one of those top three guys, but certainly has that upside.
Yeah. No, I mean, he definitely has the upside. He's done it.
Right.
So, I mean, he's the highest scoring of the bunch, like at his peak. Now it's only the one season, but
yeah,
I like him at a discount to the other guys. And he also goes, this is like one of those things, it's always tough to talk about stuff just kind of in a vacuum. It's all dependent on kind of what that specific player pool is for this particular year. And to me, there is a very clear tier break that occurs at wide receiver right around here. I would say like kind of post Olave or maybe post Devontae Smith, definitely post T Higgins.
Yeah,
it's kind of like petering out. And to me, like Metcalf through like a bunch of wide receivers is pretty flat.
Yeah,
and there's some running back value that lasts for a bit longer. And I like Mark Andrews, but then once those non-wide receivers go, it's kind of like, what else is left? So if Lamar's there, like, awesome, because the wide receiver tier is so flat.
Yeah.
Whereas with the other three quarterbacks, it might not seem like a huge gap, but you're potentially having to take them over the last of the wide receivers before the tier breaks, or, several of the running backs in that tier. So I actually think there's, like, depending on how the board shakes out, but there can be a big difference in opportunity cost between like a Mahomes versus Lamar.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. And you can see it. I mean, looking at your ranks. So we've got T up here, but then once we get to DK Metcalf, it's like you got 5 wide receivers in a row, little break for ETN and Gibbs, and then another bunch of wide receivers. So you can totally see kind of the tier breaks for you in terms of wide receiver. Is that something that is something that you really factor into your rankings, like the differences in tiers? I mean, I think you have to some extent, but how much of a factor is it for you, like just seeing like how flat it is between tier breaks at different positions in formulating your rankings?
Yeah, I think that's really important. Like I want people to draft off the ranks and be able to put together teams that like structurally work. So knowing those tier breaks is like really important, I think. And I draft a ton. So I think I just did today because Justin Herzig had us on, and the 4 of us were looking at me, Sam Sherman, Davis Maddock, and him.
Yep.
He did a trivia of how many total drafts we've done. So I found out today I've done over 500 drafts.
That is
since the NFL season ended. Yeah,
that's a lot. That's a lot of drafts. Did you max out the pre-draft contest?
You know what? I didn't even. I think I got in 60 or 70. Maybe a little bit more. No, that's probably about right in the big board.
Ooh, all right. We are on the board. We can take Lamar here. We did not take Jalen Waddle, but I still like Lamar here. Do you just want to go straight to Debo? Do you want to get our third wide receiver? Would you rather go down to one of these?
You're seeing my brain. Like, this is what I would do. These rankings.
Lamar and Debo, just right.
Lamar and Debo, yeah.
All right. I'm in.
I'm okay. I would say that Debo is like a slight preference for me here. If you have any guys that you like.
No, I was just. I mean, this is the point where it's like, do we want 3 wide receivers before we take a running back? I think we can. Like, I think the running backs coming back around are going to be good enough. So I'm totally fine taking Debo here.
I'm also fine pushing it at running back, depending on how that goes. One thing that does sometimes work out is that J.K. Dobbins will come all the way back.
Sure.
And he's, I think, a pretty fun, as a zero running back, if you take a guy at the 5'12", like, kind of. But that's how I build. I build like it's a zero running back team after that.
Yep. All right, so we've got a quarterback and 3 wide receivers. I think I heard you say on one of your streams. I don't think I finished any of them because I didn't have the time, but I think I watched a bit of both of your streams from earlier. And in one of them, you were talking about Hayden Winks has a rule of like 4 wide receivers by the end of round 7. Is that what the rule is?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that's been his rule of thumb. His best ball golden rule, I think, is what he calls it. But
Okay.
yeah, and it's held up really well
Really?
over the last few seasons, and I think that's the one, because I did some research last year, and I was like, yeah, 4 through 9, so 4 before round 10 was like kind of the minimum that I had, but his is more aggressive than that, and I think that aggressiveness is important this year with wide receivers being more expensive. Because the thing about wide receivers this year is like I really don't want to get locked out.
Yep.
You know, I can. The pricing is making it difficult to like really load up at wide receiver,
Yeah.
because you're potentially giving up a lot of good value especially at running back. But at the same time, if you get too cute and don't take enough wide receiver firepower early on, it's very difficult to dig out of that. There's
Like
not
right after pick 100, I find it to be like such a tough zone. Right after pick 100, taking wide
Yeah.
receivers, it's just like, man, it's pretty flat at that point. You're getting into your Juju Smith-Schuster, your Jacoby Myers, Rondale Moore, those kinds of wide receivers. Alan Lazard, just like, I don't really feel a ton of confidence in those guys. I draft a lot of them, but I have no idea who is going to come out.
They're
of that
not
group
that different from the wide receivers available towards the end of the draft, honestly.
Right.
Like it's a similar. It's like, yeah, like we feel more confident in those guys, but like, I don't know if Darius Slayton outscored Alan Lazard, like, would you be shocked?
Not at all. Yeah, exactly.
But I'd be pretty surprised if he outscored, I don't know, like, well, if he outscored Deontay Johnson, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Right, exactly.
Like, there's kind of a, yeah.
Since we just saw him go by, I got to ask, what is your take on DJ Moore this year? I didn't notice where you have him ranked.
I'm generally in, I would say.
Interest. All right.
I like him at ADP. I think he offers you a nice little thing where you can go DJ Moore in the late 4th and try to throw Justin Fields around the turn, which is easier to do. 1, because Fields seems to be falling a little bit, and then 2, normally a couple guys on the turn have taken one of the elite quarterbacks. So if you've got like a Hurts and a Mahomes covering you there, often Burrow's also available, so he might offer cover. And the Jamar Chase drafter will clearly be interested in taking Burrow. So you can pretty easily just like take more. And I see people do the reverse, and I'm like, oh, you screwed it up. And then sometimes I'll take DJ Moore. Like I took DJ Moore and Drake London out of the 1 hole.
Okay, so you're saying that you should always take DJ Moore first, and then
take DJ Moore first.
So I've done the opposite, in part because I'm like, so my stance on DJ Moore has been, I'm not drafting him unless he's in a Justin Fields stack. But then it never comes back. I always expect, I'm like, who's going to take DJ Moore here if they don't get Justin Fields? But it happens every time. Like I'm never able to land that,
because
so
people need the wide receivers. People need the wide receivers out of the 1 and the 2 hole, because there are not very many wide receivers in the 2-3 turn.
Okay.
Right. The 2-3 turn is more of a running back or quarterback turn. Sure. And so if DJ Moore's sitting there for me at the 4-12, like I'm hammering that usually. Like DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, like sweet. I feel better because that start might be Justin Jefferson, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. So I'm like, I really could use 2 wide receivers here. So if you let DJ Moore come to me, I'm taking him.
Okay.
But if you send me,
we are back on the clock. George Kittle, we've already got Debo. We could set up a little stack of the 49ers. How do you feel about that?
I'm into that.
All right, so we'll take George Kittle. Are we continuing down the path of wide receiver until we die, or do we want to take an Alexander Madison here?
Oh, I don't want any part of Alexander Madison here. I would say take one of the Seahawks. Yeah. All right, but we gotta put this pick in, or we'll get Rashad.
Oh, you're right. Shit. Yeah. Good note. All right, and then JSN, you've got him ranked just ahead of Tyler Lockett.
I like him a lot. I take him a lot.
All right, we'll do.
And I think he makes sense on a wide receiver heavy build like this.
Sure, because he's going to have maybe a slow start and then get going as the season goes on.
Right, exactly. But yeah, so just to finish up that thought on Fields, like I think you're just much more likely to get Fields to swing back around to you if you're in the. This is actually a completely free article on the site. It's called Dictating the Turns. If people want to, I talk about this exact thing. And it's like the idea being, well, one, Fields is kind of falling more than more, so that helps you out. But two, like the other thing, I'd rather be in a position where I have DJ Moore and not Fields than vice versa, because with DJ Moore, I can come back and get Kyle Pitts on the next turn, and then that could be a Ritter thing, or that could just be like a little mini stack with those two. But if I have Justin Fields and I don't get DJ Moore, I guess I'm like backdoor stacking him with Darnell Mooney. Like, it's not as fun to me. I just think you're in better shape.
I mean, I 100% agree that it's a lot more fun to have Justin Fields with DJ Moore. Like, if I'm betting on Justin Fields, I'm betting on that top receiver also, like DJ Moore making a big difference there. So I'm going to change what I'm doing here from what you're telling me, because I've been struggling with that, because I've generally been taking the stance of I don't want DJ Moore unless I'm betting on Justin Fields, like having taken a huge step here. So I haven't been drafting him, but I really want the pairing, and I love where the pairing is going now. Like, I was way out on DJ Moore when he was going in, I think, the third round at one point.
It's too early, yeah.
Yeah, but now I'm like, all right, he's fallen to a point where I can get behind it. So I'm gonna maybe switch up my order in there. Felix says, dude, it was easy regarding the 25-hour stream. Wouldn't be for me. So good for you, Felix. Jewish McCaffrey confirms Lamar was
easy. How did you sleep?
I know he didn't sleep. He had like 12 Red Bulls or something. Maybe
did you sleep before? Like, did you roll out of bed and start the stream? Like, I'm fascinated by this.
He's just a madman. Do you do a lot of coke or something, Felix? What were you doing? How did you stay up for 25 straight hours? Because I don't think Felix is that much younger than I am. I think he's pretty close to, I'm closing in on 40. I think Felix is went to high school with Eric Bimefor, who maybe like 3 years behind me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Yeah. I couldn't do that. I'm about the same age. I couldn't do that.
It's been many years since I could do 25 hours without sleep.
I mean, I could almost get there, but I think I don't think I'd make it 25. I think I would.
I could get there. I would just be absolutely miserable. I would hate my life, like towards the end of it.
It would ruin a full week for me. Like full week
exactly.
Would be. I would feel weird 4 or 5 days later for sure.
Felix says you don't want JSN. I read that too late. Sorry, Felix. We took JSN already. Jewish McCaffrey, once you get past ADP 100, the ceilings of wide receivers drop massively. Absolutely true. Frog DFS, what up to you, legend? And Felix, I was up 4 hours before, and I was up 3 hours after. Yeah, that's a lot of coke, Felix. I don't know what you were doing. Coke the beverage, of course.
That's a lot. Yeah, Coke the beverage, of course. That's wild, man.
All right, so we are coming up. So we're going to be 84 and 85. What do you think? Like, I think we need to take one of these Baltimore receivers at least. Do we take two of them? What do you think?
So what do we have? 4 wide receivers. I think we can get away with it if we want to.
Get away with 2. We're just going completely 0 RB, and then we're going to have
full 0
RB late.
But we have the elite tight end and we have the elite quarterback. So
we do.
This is how I like to do it if possible. At least one elite onesie, but we got both, and I like how we got Kittle. I mean, Kittle's correlated as well. So
yeah.
I think we definitely need one of Bateman or Fly. I would say we should plan to take both.
All right. I'm into it. Let's it's going to be a unique build. Like, this is, I go like semi 0 RB, I think, but it's pretty rare that I'm not getting at least 1 RB through my 8th pick. But we're going to it'll probably end up being like, what do you think? Like a 7 wide receiver kind of draft, 7 wide receivers, 6 running back, something like that. I don't know. I guess we'll see what comes to us.
I think we're setting up for at least 6, maybe 7 at running back. It depends. Because what I'll sometimes do with this start, and one reason I like taking with the elite quarterback and tight end, is that you can go like rounds 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, all running backs. So there's 5 running backs. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm pretty good at running back. Right. At least that's how I often feel that way. But I draft a running back fair amount.
Yeah, I feel like I've done it less this year than I have in the past.
Me too.
In general, I've been. Oh man, Felix
Bateman goes.
You asshole. I mean, I guess he's given us a pass to take a running back here, so we can take Zay Flowers. Absolutely. Yeah. Hope that Odell comes back to us, and then you want to go Swift.
I'm fine with Swift, Pacheco, or White. Do you have any preferences there?
That's a tough one. Let's go White.
Okay.
Because I feel like one of the other Philadelphia running backs could be available to us later, and I think that they're kind of good late round flyers. Whereas I
I
don't really
like it
feel as good
because
about.
what
Go
we
ahead.
really need is like a dude just kind of anchoring things
Yeah.
for us. So White could be that. Obviously, he could not.
Yeah.
He could be terrible, but when he hits, he's producing right away, and he has the potential to kind of be a backfield, which is nice for what this team needs.
Yep. Absolutely. Brett says, "Dang, was hoping White got back to me." Who are you, Brett? What's your username here? And I'm sorry, Brett boy, I assume. Okay, another badge bro in here.
Probably.
Yeah.
Be funny if he wasn't.
I've started drafting. What are your feelings on Javonte Williams? I guess you've got him. Seems like you got Javonte ranked right with the field.
Yeah, I think I'm slightly ahead now.
Okay.
Someone moved up recently. Yeah, I'm ahead of ADP now on Javonte. I like him at this price, and I'm not sure how much longer we get this price. So
agreed.
He's not someone I have a ton of right now, but I would like to get more of in the next couple weeks.
I think I went from like very little Javonte Williams to I've just been jamming him the past couple weeks. It's just been since I've gotten some good news on him. Talked over with Matt Kajeski, who does our projections a little bit, and he's like, he's practicing. Like I wouldn't be drafting him if he wasn't practicing, but it seems like there are a lot of positive signs for Javonte Williams being ready early in the year. So I've been, basically taking him as though he's going to be ready early in the season and going to be, a good starter for Denver. So could end up biting me pretty bad if he misses 6 weeks or something, but I'm willing to take the bet.
Yeah, and I think at the very least you're going to get closing line value on it.
Yeah,
because I think he's going to move up, and I really don't. I don't want to have none, and I don't want to take him in the 6th.
Yeah.
So taking him now, I think is just it's just a better risk adjusted bet than we're probably going to get later.
Yeah, I like that call. Do you think we take Odell on our next pick? Taking him just ahead of ADP.
Yeah, I
struggle. You don't love him. Yeah.
No, I don't. Do you take him?
Not general. I don't take him unless I have Lamar stacks, and if I have 2 of the Ravens pass catchers already, then I just pass on Odell. But if I only have 1 and he's like the last one remaining, sometimes I'll take him.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of Odell, but this is the exact situation where I do take him because I'm like, I only have one guy stacked with Lamar. We're kind of betting against Bateman since we don't have him. I didn't want to bet against Bateman, but Felix made us. So yeah, I probably would lean towards Odell here with one of the 2 picks.
All right. Well, we'll do a little bit of it's not a reach in terms of ADP, but in terms of your rankings, it's a little bit of
definitely a reach in my
Odell.
rankings. Yeah, but I don't think he comes all the way back, and we could use the double.
Yeah. All right. So let's if Felix doesn't snipe us again, then we can take Odell and maybe another running back. Seems like our best bet.
I think another running back for sure.
I guess depending on who's available. Yeah. I mean, I would take, I guess, in the order. Like if we have Cook, Dillon, or Rashad Penny available to us, I guess we could take Ryan Harris. Yeah, they're a number. You're right. We do have a number of like pretty good running back options still available here. Like not like sure things, but like you can see an upside case for all of these running backs.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's the whole idea behind zero running back is that like odds are that we are gonna wish we had some earlier running backs. But if we hit on the running backs with these picks, which is easier to do than hitting on wide receivers in this range of the draft, the team can be a super team, and super teams are quite helpful in top-heavy tournaments.
Yep, that is as you have experienced. All right. Oh man,
well, mine wasn't even a super team. It just had a good week 17.
Justin took Odell from us, so we are out on Odell. All right, I'm going to unstar Isaiah Likely for now. So I think James Cook, kind of a no-brainer. Yeah,
me too.
And then I still think we go. Do you want to go Rashad Penny here?
Yeah.
All right, I don't hate that.
See, this is what I'm talking about, right? Like, I kind of like our running back room already.
Right? Like all of these guys could be studs. Like we have 3 running backs already. We didn't take our first one until 85, and I think all 3 of these guys could be great this year. So
Like
yeah, I don't hate it.
three down workhorse, 2 backs on elite offenses. Like it could work out, you know.
They all have last names that are also words. That's cool. A lot of correlation built in.
That's true. Yeah. Like
Felix says, I wanted Bateman and Elijah Moore. Figured it was safer the way. So speaking of like doing content hurting your EV, when you're telling people exactly what you're going to do, I have found that is the one thing about best ball versus DFS.
smart,
Like
though.
as we're doing live streams, people, I mean, Felix probably would have noticed that anyway. He would have been like, okay, they have Lamar. They probably want Rashad Bateman, but some people wouldn't see those kind of correlations. And we definitely have been sniped a few times on these live streams by people watching the stream.
Yeah, it definitely helps a lot to look at what the guy on the turn has done.
Yeah, that is the nice thing about being like adjacent to the turn is that you can see exactly what they need, like who are they likely to take, and kind of make decisions based on that a little bit.
Yep.
Jewish McCaffrey says if you go 0 RB, I feel like Eli Mitchell is that guy. 1 CMC injury and suddenly you're all good at running back. Pains me to say that, of course. Yeah, I know that you love your Christian McCaffrey, but I kind of agree with you. Like Eli Mitchell, but he's also always an injury risk. So there is that with Eli Mitchell, but talented and in a great offense.
I'm pretty ahead of ADP on him.
Yeah,
I like him.
We may have a shot, probably not. No, we don't draft it until 132. All right. So I think that, and I'm gonna, of course, we're telling everybody what we're gonna do again, but I think that we will probably want to take Brock Purdy on this turn. What do you think? I like the 157 turn.
Yes. Yeah, I've kind of been penciling him in as our 14th rounder.
Yep.
So that gets us to 4 running backs before, or what round are we about to enter?
We are further along than I thought we were. Okay, so we are about to enter the 11th round.
Okay, yeah. I was like, I feel like we skipped a round. Okay, so our 11th and 12th. So we could take 3 straight running backs and Purdy, but I would say we have a luxury pick here too.
Yeah, we could take one more. I guess we need kind of one of everything at this point still. At least one of everything.
Yeah. But I mean, if our next 3 picks, we could detour off the running backs if a wide receiver value comes our way, I think we could take it. Not that I expect one to, but
yeah, if we get Jacoby Myers at the turn, I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah.
Rondell Moore, I'm a fan of. I think I have over 40% Rondell Moore, and I'm like, am I really that confident in Rondell Moore? He's been such a great value, and like he's even like his ADP has come up. He was like 160th or something for a while.
Isn't it funny how that happens? I always have to like review what I'm doing because I'm like,
yeah,
why do I got over 20% on Leonard Fournette, and I was like, I've never been bullish on Leonard Fournette in my life.
Right.
What is going on?
Exactly.
More Kareem Hunt is the answer I landed on.
Oh, have you been? I think I'm completely out on Kareem Hunt just because I'm like the talent's not really there anymore. Like they didn't really use him last year in Cleveland, so I'm like, even if he does sign somewhere, are they really going to use him? I don't know.
I haven't taken much of him, but I was just like, I can't. I'm not like I had. Let's see, I've got 3% Kareem Hunt and 20% Leonard Fournette. So I'm like, am I 7 times more confident that Leonard Fournette is going to have value this year than other, fellow free agent Kareem
That's
Hunt?
fair. That's a good point.
Yeah, it seems a little silly. So I don't know. I don't want to be, but I'd like to be, I think, even with the field on Hunt, or I guess even with the field in this case wouldn't even be 8% because he's not always getting drafted. But I would like to have about 8% Hunt. I think that'd be a good position.
We got some questions. Marvin Mom's asking, what do you guys think about Jared Goff? I usually don't go QB too early, but if Goff falls, I usually can't resist with his possible ceiling. He doesn't really have any kind of rushing ceiling. I drafted a lot of Goff with my Amon-Ra St. Brown lineups. Like he's just like all right, he could go off with his receiving options, Jameson Williams. But just based on like looking at Gajewski's projections, I've kind of stopped drafting Goff because he has him ranked like 170th or something. So I have not drafted as much Goff recently just due to the lack of rushing upside. But I don't really have a story. Like if I have the correlation, if I have the stack, I'm perfectly willing to take Goff at ADP. Otherwise, like I'm not taking him without ADP. How do you feel about Goff, Pat?
I'm looking for him stacked. He can maybe provide some backdoor stuff if you're looking at, like, if you can get, let's say you went CD, Jahmyr Gibbs, and then you don't get Dak. Like, I might go Goff there and try to do a Sam Laporta thing. I've taken just under 7% of him, so I'm slightly less than the field on Goff. But he's not like a priority for me, but I don't mind taking him.
Yeah, and I feel kind of the exact same way. All right, so we're 2 picks away. We have our luxury pick coming up. Don't say who you want just yet, because Felix is about to draft, and we know he's just going to take whoever we want.
Yeah,
but maybe we should just think about who you're going to want here at this turn pick, these 2 picks.
Yeah.
And I know, so we're starting to build in a San Francisco stack. Hopefully we're going to end up with a San Francisco stack. Is it Washington week 17?
San Francisco, Washington, yeah.
Okay, which nobody here, I think. So Khalil Herbert, I think, is a good pick here.
Yeah, I think it's Herbert, Warren, Miller, 2 of those 3. I think we do go the running back. All right. Unless you want to get Rondale.
No, I have too much Rondale already. Let's go Herbert, Warren. I am, to some extent, I would call myself a bye week bro. So it hurts me a little bit to go, but like, since we're taking so many running backs, I don't care as much. Like, there are some drafts where I'm only taking 4 running backs, and then I really want them to all have different bye weeks. But since we're going to take like 6 or 7, I don't really care as much that Cook and Herbert have the same bye week. Do you care at all about bye weeks for like non-onesie positions?
I probably don't look at it enough, to be honest. But I don't. Something like this doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, this doesn't bother me, but sometimes, like I said, if I'm only drafting 4 running backs, then I have a little bit more like, all right, probably need to factor in. I probably factored in too much, to be honest.
I was drafting with Justin Herzig earlier, and he was just like, no, like, we had Josh Allen with a week 13 bye, and then a number of receivers had a week 13 bye, and so he was like, we should really probably break ties against this week 13 wide receiver. And I was like, that's smart. Like, considering like, our top quarterback's also on bye that week. I'm not really thinking through that stuff probably enough. And I think it's going to help your advance rate if you think through that a little. Like, it's on the margins, but it definitely would, over a large sample, help your advance rate, I think.
Yeah, no, I think Leone maybe did some research. Somebody did research on it, and it does, like, people responded to it like, oh, see, it like marginal difference, and I'm like, no, that's actually pretty big, over 150. Like, that's going to be a few teams advancing.
Yeah.
Like, if you do pay attention, which kind of does matter. But as you know, like, the big thing is you need to be good in week 17, and the easiest way that I see to do well in week 17 is to get teams to week 17. But of course, once you're in the playoffs, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but if you build all of your teams, with the intention of these are the types of teams that can perform very well in week 17 specifically, then you also do want to be capitalizing on those edges that are going to help more of them get through that first round, which is something I probably need to focus a little more on.
So Eric Meckelhoff says, Eli Mitchell is a mid running back too, even if McCaffrey gets hurt. Most weeks he's getting 5 to 9 points unless he falls into the end zone. He catches 0 passes, and it would probably be a committee. I think that if McCaffrey gets hurt and Mitchell is the guy, I think I disagree with that assessment. I think that he's a really strong running back and the offense is really good. So I think I'm more bullish on Eli Mitchell than that assessment.
He's good, I think.
I think he's good too, and I think he's a 5 to 9 point guy with McCaffrey there. Like, I think he's already going to be getting 5 to 9 points per week, and then if McCaffrey goes down, strong contingent value.
Yeah, he's a good bet. Probably. I'm at 14% on him. I feel like if anything, I'd rather have more than less.
Slayer says, "Dang, there are no Summer League DFS video on the internet, or am I tripping and can't find them?" I don't think that we do Summer League, so sorry, can't help you there. Brett says, wanted to ask you, where does Zeke fall into your rankings along with Fournette and Hunt?
Zeke is ahead of those guys because, in part, he is the first drafted. But I do have him ahead in just kind of the pure ranks that don't factor in ADP as well. So okay. I'm just behind ADP on Zeke. I'm ahead of ADP on Fournette. And so what I've what's been happening to me is that I'll go, why should I take Zeke? I'll just grab Fournette later. And I should probably stop doing that and just grab Zeke a little more. But I think like we've seen these free agent running backs, they'll move up, right? Like Penny moved up, and he landed on the Eagles, but it's a murky situation. The beat writers there have said, we're very confident that Kenneth Gainwell and DeAndre Swift are making the team. Not 100% sure about Penny. And that hasn't really phased us because we're like, Penny's good and he's on the Eagles. Like I'm in. That's the way a lot of people are playing, including me. I think like if Elliott's back on the Cowboys, like his ADP will be much higher than this. And if Fournette lands like basically anywhere, his ADP is going to go up. So it's kind of I want to take more Elliott. I want to take more Hunt. And I'm honestly okay with my kind of aggressive position on Fournette because I think I'll stop taking him once he signs somewhere and his price rises.
Yep. All right, so we are up next. Felix we got to get through Felix first, but now we can take our Brock Purdy, and then after Purdy, where do you think you want to go? We already have a Chicago running back. Do you want to have 2 Chicago running backs on the team, or should we skip down to Devin Singletary?
Well, I'd take Marvin Mims.
Mims, okay, I'm good with that.
If you want to, yeah, let's do that, and then we get our 6th wide receiver, kind of an upside swing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Still need one more tight end.
And this is kind of what I mean, like with the running backs. If you just sit through that late single digit, early double digit range and just hammer running back after starting 0 running back, like I end up feeling pretty strong. Like Rashad White, James Cook, Rashad Penny, Khalil Herbert, Jalen Warren. Like that's obviously not as strong as if we had like a CMC anchoring this or something, but it's pretty good. Like this group is not. These are players who are going to be on the field.
I think that the top 4 here all could be the RB1s for their team. Like I think that Khalil Herbert and Rashad Penny even, like we're assuming that it's going to be DeAndre Swift as the RB1, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's Rashad Penny. I mean, of course, based on, all the rumblings kind of suggest that it's not going to be Rashad Penny RB1, but as you said, he's good. Like he could certainly, win the team over during training camp. So Jalen Warren, I don't think is going to be the RB1. I think something would have to happen to Najee for that to happen. But I think all these 4 have that in their range of outcomes.
Play,
yeah.
But Warren is big. I don't think people know because he's been kind of like, he was a little bit more of like a receiving complement type, but he's like 215 pounds. So
I picture him kind of like a little bowling ball. He's not a really tall guy, right? Is that right?
5'8", 216. That's exactly right.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
But that's the type of dude who's like, if you had to have him fill in, if Najee were to miss time, he'd probably like be like a little mini Najee and just handle everything.
Yeah, that's very true. Felix says Zeke is 500 in my ranks. Yeah, kind of similar to me, but I agree with you, Pat. Like, so I actually did a late round running back segment where I said I don't like Zeke at ADP, where he's going the highest of those guys. But I also agree with you. Like, if he does sign with the Cowboys again, which is possibly the most likely scenario, like I don't know if it's 50% or higher likely, but like of all the different scenarios, it's probably the likeliest. He would certainly rise in ADP. Like people would be taking him at, I don't know, 11th round, maybe. I don't know. I think
probably
he would rise quite a bit. So I'm probably wrong to just completely fade him the way I have been.
Well, I mean,
probably need to factor that in a little.
I've been pretty critical of Zeke over the last few years. I've not taken really any of them. He turns 28 in July. But like Dalvin Cook turns 28 in August and was just as bad. He's actually worse than Zeke in some of the NFL Next Gen metrics that I like. My thing with Zeke is like, why is Cook going so far ahead of Zeke? And Fournette, like I like how these guys are priced at least way better than Dalvin Cook, who I think is potentially just as washed. Like as washed as are you worried about Zeke being washed? Like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But like I'm spending a 16th round pick to get him. Cook is the one that I think is really concerning.
He's the outlier. I think I agree with you that Cook is I think he's just overpriced at this point.
Way overpriced.
I thought he was. I honestly thought he was going to drop a lot more than he has after he got cut. I was like, all right, if he drops into like the 11th or 12th round, then I might have interest in Dalvin Cook. But yeah, where he's going is just a little bit too rich for my blood.
I think so. I recently like raised him up a bit because I kind of had him. I was like, I don't care about the ADP. I'm just like, he's just getting nuked in the ranks. But the chances that he lands somewhere and then his value rises further from here, I'm like, if you don't feel that way about Cook, then this is probably the time to draft him.
Yeah.
But I'm personally like not drafting Cook. I just don't think. I'm just not sure he has anything left in the tank.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I mean, I think that so to me he is the best of those four, the four that we talked about, and of course he's being drafted like he is the best, but not by a big enough margin to give that what like 7th round ADP, whatever it is right now. It's still just it's too early for Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh, go ahead.
and you're not. It sounds like you're not even confident that he is the best running back of that group from a talent.
I'm not. No, I mean if you look at like, rush yards over expected last year, Najee Harris finished last, then Leonard Fournette, then Melvin Gordon, then Zeke, then Michael Carter, then James Robinson, then Dalvin Cook. Kareem Hunt finished quite a bit better than Dalvin Cook. He had less carries, so that's maybe a little unfair, but he produced above expectations, which none of those other guys did.
Sure. All right, so we are on the clock now. I like Jeff Wilson quite a bit here.
Yeah, I'm into that, and that's actually a bring back on our.
Yeah, that's a good point on our main stack.
Yeah,
and then all right, who else do we want here? We could go. I should have waited on that pick so we could think about it a little bit more. Curtis Samuel is there if we want to do that. Bring back.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I would do that.
Or we. I
think we can wait on tight end. Hodgins is kind of interesting, but Samuel's a bring back. So yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, clearly going down the ranks a little bit here, so we're not tethered to EDP here. It's a tough one. I mean, Hodgins, I do like Hodgins quite a bit where he's going, but there's certainly risk there still.
For sure. Also, we have 3 rookies now. So it's better to have some, a guy who's going to produce out of the gate. Like if Samuel produces this year, he'll produce right away.
Yep. Good point. Some other comments. Rant says most teams running backs by committee on our squad. I think he's saying most of our running backs are running backs by committee, or maybe means in general most teams are running backs by committee, which is true. So like not a huge concern that a lot of our guys are on running in committees right now because that's just the way the NFL is going. They don't really do as many workhorse backs. So yeah, not a huge concern there.
Yeah, and I'd say play to the strengths of the time period that you're drafting in. So right now, we don't have a lot of certainty about how these ambiguous backfields are going to shake out. And there could be an injury. There could be, something that makes this a lot more clear. And maybe a guy like Khalil Herbert, like maybe Foreman has a terrible camp, or Roschon Johnson is just like not up to NFL standards or whatever, a million things, right? But something like that. And one of these guys could rocket up 3 rounds in ADP. And that's a big deal because what we did is we sat and ignored running back through the rounds where some of these guys might be going in August, and we got to take wide receivers there before wide receiver dried up. And then when we kind of potentially got to have our cake and eat it too, even if James Cook is just like a 6th round value in early September, that's still a huge win for this team. I think that's like the strength of drafting in July. What we don't actually have much confidence in what running backs we should take in the very last rounds.
Right.
But this group that's probably over now, unless we want to tackle one of the free agent guys, that group, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of guys in committees. We're not sure who's going to be the guy in those committees, but it gives you an opportunity to pick the right guy in those ambiguous backfields from a group of people that we are pretty sure have some kind of role. They're not totally lotto tickets.
Yep. No, that's a good call. All right, so we need to take at least one tight end. Let me get to these questions though. So some other comments. Marvin Mom says, I'm usually not too interested in grabbing handcuffs, but do you see value in taking Spears when you've got Henry and possibly having 2 RB1s if the Titans start off slow and Henry gets traded? That's interesting. I haven't thought about the getting traded aspect.
I mean, that's definitely you've got a big old galaxy brain there, and I respect it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm probably not going to do that, but I don't. There's stuff like that, right? Like there was an example of that last year, like where you can, if a guy gets traded and you have both guys, like it's a correlated
Right. They
bet.
both benefit. Yeah.
Both benefit. So yeah, I guess I would not be doing that in that situation, partly because the Titans are not giving me any indications that that's how they plan to play this. I mean,
Right.
they're talking about getting Hopkins, and
Right.
that's a win now move. I don't think you trade Henry after you sign Hopkins.
Yeah,
So,
unless they lose their first 6 games or whatever, but
yeah, I guess. But even then, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
You're gonna have to kind of pry the season out of Vrabel's hands. I wouldn't do that, but I do like Spears. I think he's actually someone that I have I think I'm about even with the field on, and I'm like, I don't like that. I want to be over.
I think I think I'm well underweight to Spears. So I don't really watch college football. I basically just listen to what people tell me on Twitter about rookies, and all I had heard is like, oh, he's got no knees. He's not going to play at all. He's not going to be able to play. And then more recently, it's like,
I don't think
yeah, I don't think it's right. Like the more recent analysis I've gotten is like he looks incredible. He's going to be great. It doesn't matter that he doesn't have cartilage in his knees or whatever. So
I don't think he has an ACL in one of his knees.
Okay,
isn't that crazy?
It is. It's insane. So I've started drafting him more, but I hadn't been drafting him all because I was like, all right, that feels like an easy fade if he's just doesn't have the ability to stay healthy. All right, so we need at least one tight end here. Do you think we just need one? I mean,
we have
we have George Kittle, so we're pretty strong with our tight end one. We have 2 picks.
I think we could double up. I mean, we're good at wide receiver. I feel pretty good at running back. I think we should take Likely, and then
we got that.
I was hoping Mayer would make it back.
All right, so Likely and I was kind of hoping. I mean, Jelani Woods, I don't hate. Hunter Henry and Gesicki. Oh, Gesicki, you've got him ranked fairly low relative to.
All
right,
I don't like him at all.
We're gonna skip over Gesicki then.
I would also say we could take a second run or a last running back, 7th running back to close it out if you want.
Sure. All right, let's start with Likely, and then do you see any running backs that you like here though? Like Zamir White, I guess has good handcuff.
Well, this is why I have a lot of Fournette.
Yeah, because he's available, and
he's available so late.
We could. I mean, Isaiah Likely doesn't really have much value unless Mark Andrews get hurt. So but we have George Kittle for those weeks. I think I prefer another tight end, but
another tight end. Yeah, I would take Jelani or Hunter Henry.
All right, let's go Jelani. We've got offsetting. All right, yep.
Yeah, I like that.
I think Jelani's got. I think both have major upside there, so I think those are good. I feel like this is a good draft.
I like it. Yeah, I think we did well.
I honestly don't often draft. This might be my first 2, 6, 7, 3 draft ever, because I'm usually drafting at least eight tight ends. Eight wide receivers. So this is kind of rare for me to have 6 running backs, but getting more into it. It seems like more and more sharp people are drafting more running backs. Like the old the old thought was there's so much more volatility in wide receivers, you take more, and then I think a lot of the more recent research has kind of gone against that thought. So people are more and more drafting 6 running backs. You still obviously need to fill 3 wide receiver spots to 2 running back spots. So there's a pretty big difference there, but it's
leaning on those top wide receivers a little bit more. And I mean, our top wide receivers are pretty strong.
Very strong.
Yeah, I feel good about that bet. And the one thing about taking a ton of running backs, like if you go to 7, which I think is viable, but if you take 7 running backs, the odds that all of those running backs are going to be live roster spots for you in the fantasy playoffs feels pretty low to me. I kind of want to. The whole game at running back is to have enough at running back, but if you start to get nervous that you don't have enough and you overspend at the position, I think you're taking on maybe more risk than you have to. Where Jelani Woods is going to be pretty inconsistent this year, but will probably be live for a week 17 spike week, and potentially more live than a guy like Kareem Hunt, who could literally be out of the league by week 17. So, or hurt, because running backs tend to get hurt more often than the other positions. So Yeah, I generally like if I kind of break ties against the extra running back usually. So I'm glad I was kind of tempted to take that extra running back, but I'm glad we took the third tight end instead.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, and we still have, I think, a strong enough running back group. Like this is as far as 6 running backs that all come after 85 or later. Like this is a pretty strong running back group. Like a lot of these guys have both like standalone value and contingent value, which is really nice.
Yeah. So I just looked up CBS, what they had to say on Tajay Spears, Googled it, and this is what came up. They repeatedly asked him if he had an ACL in his knee, and he responded, "I'm healthy." So,
all right. I have been, I'm trying to think what the Aaron Rodgers quote was. I have been not vaccinated. What was the word? Similar to that, like kind of a non-answer. Like, yeah. All right.
Spears was asked several times about him reportedly not having an ACL. Each time the running back was asked, he responded saying, "I am healthy."
All right.
He doesn't have an ACL. I mean, come
Right.
on. You would just say, "Yeah, I have an ACL, dude." What are you
Yeah, absolutely. But like, I'm not a doctor. I don't know what that means. Like, do I need an ACL? Does it matter? Does it matter that he doesn't have an ACL? I mean, it seems bad, but who knows?
Seems
like
bad.
he seems like he's performing well. Like in camp, he's doing what he's expected to do. So, okay. Damad Bowler says, especially with Haskins probably facing legal issues at this point, Spears nice to pick up in round 16. I didn't even know that Hassan Haskins was facing legal issues. So,
yeah.
But that
came out a couple weeks ago, I think.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, we made it through. Felix says Isaiah likely looking tempting. Okay, so he was clearly thinking about taking a 4th tight end just to screw with us there. But thank you for not sniping us against Felix.
Felix, he got a little drowsy. After not sleeping 25 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Hasn't really recovered yet. Pat, thank you so much for coming on this stream. This was a lot of fun doing a draft. I think so. I haven't told anybody what the rules are going to be as far as like payouts. I think my rule for when I have guests on is just not going to ask you to pay me anything, but I'm not going to pay you unless we win 5 figures. If we win 5 figures or more, I'll pay out half to whoever the guests are. Does that seem fair? Like
that seems
you don't have
very
to pay
fair.
me, but if we get 5 figures, then I'll pay out whoever my guest is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
All right. So Pat, you've got to. So you've. I know you're doing a stream on Tuesday, so people can look out for the Legendary Upside YouTube. Of course, they can. You'll also be posting this on Twitter, I assume. Your stream, but they can go find you at Legendary Upside YouTube channel. Anything else that you want to shout out before we close out?
No, I got got all the plugs in off at the top of the show. This is a lot of fun. Yeah. If you're looking to do more drafts, there'll be plenty more on Tuesday. I'll note I mentioned I'm doing a 4-part series on the site. I'll be working on that. Hopefully I'll get that out early next week, the 4th part of that series on those running back success rate stuff. And a lot of this stuff on the site, if it's not free, it'll have a big free preview. So I would encourage people, even if you're not going to sign up for the site, go sign up just for the free newsletter. You'll get all of the posts. I think honestly 2/3 of the last one I did I had above the paywall. So lots of good free content on the site as well.
And it'll be $69 until is Tuesday the last day?
Through Tuesday, yeah.
Through Tuesday.
All right. And there's also a 7-day free trial that I'm running through Tuesday as well. But the trial's going to go away, and the early bird discount will expire after Tuesday.
That's a disgusting image there. The brain there, bloody brain, but very nice looking page overall. Check out Pat's work here if you haven't already. It's not I
was going for the keep calm, motif there. Like,
oh yeah. No, it's just a really gross picture.
It's sort of but also a galaxy brain thing.
Okay, yeah. No, I like, and it's kind of a cool picture despite being just really kind of gross to look at. Yeah, no, cool picture there. Yeah, check out Pat's page, legendaryupside.com. It's going to be $69 for the season if you sign up before the end of the day Tuesday. Check it out if you haven't already. As I mentioned before, if you guys haven't yet signed up for Underdog, you can use the link that I have pinned into chat. You'll get $100 deposit match bonus, up to $100 deposit match bonus, and you also get free access to the stochastic best ball stuff, including the rankings, which you can upload directly onto Underdog. But thank you guys very much for hanging out with us. Of course, thank you, Pat, for coming back on the stream. Was fun once again. Hopefully we'll do more of these. Have you back on the channel for something at some point. We'll have to talk. But thanks a lot, Pat, for coming on. Thank you guys for watching, and give us a like and subscribe. All right, later, guys.